The sky this summer, June 14 to September 13. So the highlights for this summer are as follows. Number one, there's the summer solstice that's coming up just in a few days. Then there will be a talk about the problem with summer, namely that there's too much sun and not enough dark. And then we'll talk about a few planetary alignments that are going to take place this summer. So first of all, the summer solstice. Well, it's going to be on June the 20th at 1:15 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So that's really close to solar noon here in Seychelles, which is at 1:16 p.m. So that means that the summer solstice, or the sun will reach its peak just a few degrees west of here. As a matter of fact, 34 minutes later, which is 8.5 degrees west of here, which puts it at 132.2 degrees west, 23.5 degrees north of the equator, which is about 2,200 kilometers west of Baja California. So not a great tourist destination because it's way out in the ocean. But nevertheless, not far past noon, Seychelles time, the sun will reach its peak for the year. Now, let's go on to the trouble with summer. Here I have shown a graph that shows you various features of the night. First of all, we start with this line, this green line, which is the sunset. And then, of course, at the upper part of the graph, there is sunrise, which is basically the end. So this is the part that astronomers are most keenly interested in. Then there's civil twilight after sunset, then nautical twilight, and then finally astronomical twilight, or I should say finally at this present time, but then there is night. So there's various kinds of twilight after sunset and before sunrise, before we get to as dark as it's going to be, which is night. After astronomical twilight or night and astronomical twilight, then we get civil or nautical dawn, civil dawn, and then finally sunrise. So the dark line that has just appeared is 9 p.m. And here we are, and it's around June 15th. And as we can see, the sunset is after 9 o'clock. And then so on through the night, and we actually never get to night. The best we can do is astronomical twilight, and then we go on to eventually get to sunrise again. So the next line is 1 a.m. So if you stay up to 1 a.m., you're going to have a serious astronomical hangover the next day. But still, at this time of year, you will not see the night. And then finally, there's 5 a.m., where you might want to get up. Well, 5 a.m., you're a better astronomer than me. That's pretty early. And still, we're just at about the same time that the sun rises and washes out all the features of the celestial sphere. So this is the trouble with sunrise, with summer as far as astronomers are concerned. Incidentally, this problem of not seeing any night, of course, it gets worse as you go farther north than Seychelles. But you don't have to go very much farther south, about 48.5 degrees of latitude, and then you get at least some small period of night at every time during the year. Now, what do we mean by civil twilight? Well, after the sun sets, there's no need for artificial light. You don't need to put on the headlights of your vehicle, don't need to turn on the lights in the house. So there's no need for artificial light. And that's also when it comes towards the dawn, when the day gets bright enough to not need artificial light, then we call that a civil twilight in the morning. Nautical twilight is when things get a bit darker, and the horizon, however, is still visible. You need to have a horizon for the traditional methods of using the stars to determine where you are in the world. So that's called nautical twilight. At the end of that, then the horizon becomes too dim to see, and you have astronomical twilight, which is when many of the stars appear, but the faintest stars are not visible. Then finally, night. And when night comes along, then the faintest stars that are visible to the naked eye are visible. These are the sixth magnitude stars. The position of the sun below the horizon is related to each of these stages. So for civil twilight, it's between 0 degrees and 6 degrees below the horizon. For nautical twilight, it's between 6 degrees and 12 degrees. And finally, astronomical twilight is 12 degrees to 18 degrees. And then we pass on into night, which is when the sun is more than 18 degrees below the horizon. So that means that at this time of year, in mid-June, when you look north at midnight, the sun is just over the horizon and is less than 18 degrees below the horizon, which is kind of an amazing thing when you think about it. So here we are back to our chart. And here we are. This is, well, June the 14th. And when you take a look at it, you can see just the trouble that we're in. Sunset doesn't come till after 9. You can get by without artificial light until 10. You can still see the horizon at 11. And then throughout the night, the so-called night, or the regular night, there's only astronomical twilight. So we never get to see the faintest stars with the naked eye. And that won't show up until we finally get to around July the 6th or 7th. So that's a ways yet. However, that's not the only problem that we have with the summer. We also have the problem that the moon comes above the horizon. So here I've superimposed on our problem with night the fact that the moon is sometimes above the horizon. That's going to tend to wash out the sky. So here we are. We're starting to get some night. But notice the night is only going to take place here after 1 o'clock between, say, July the, say, 7th or 8th and roughly July the 13th or thereabouts. And so that's after 1 a.m. in the morning. We skip over, and towards the end of July, we do get a little patch of dark here around, it's probably around the 31st of July. And then we can kind of stretch over in this zone here. But again, it's pretty late at night, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. That's the zone here when we're going to get some dark. And then, oops, the moon comes up over the horizon and starts to wash out the night sky again. Well, we then get to the end of August. Now we're getting quite a span of night, but also we have a little window here where the moon is below the horizon. And that's when we're having our star party, the first star party that we've had here. And that's just in this nice, neat little window. And you can see that we're even going to experience a night by 10 o'clock in the evening. And then we're going to be able to go through well past 1 a.m. So we can have a serious astronomical hangover here and be up for most of the night and get some good dark skies. Okay, so now let's go to some planetary alignments. Now this is on July the 7th at 10 p.m. So again, we're still, the still definitely in the kind of nautical twilight era. And if you zoom in, you'll see that the moon is just the faintest sliver of a crescent moon, and Mercury is 5 degrees above the horizon. That's 10 o'clock, July the 7th. So this is a nice little challenge to spot. Mercury reasonably high above the horizon. Just if we back up, notice that we're looking due west over here. So we're somewhat north of west. Venus is just dropping below the horizon. Sun is below the horizon. And so we have a moon, which is just a faint sliver, a faint new moon, and Mercury well above the horizon. So we might be able to pick up this pair. You might see the moon first, and that would give you a cue as to where, or a clue as to where Mercury is, or vice versa. You might see Mercury, and that might point you to the moon, depending on which turns out to be the brightest at that time of day. The next thing is that on July the 30th at 5 a.m., so this is pretty serious time for a person to get up, but at 5 a.m., you might find yourself suffering from some insomnia. So you look due east, and there is Jupiter and Mars and the moon is only a very partial moon, even though it looks like a full moon in this picture. And so this would be an opportunity to see kind of a three-way arrangement or a triangular arrangement of Mars, Jupiter, and the moon, 5 a.m. on July 30th. On the 31st, the moon will have moved down more in the direction of Jupiter, and that'll give you another chance to sort of spot this arrangement. Then on August the 14th at 5 a.m., notice that it's a good deal darker. And right here at the very top, there's Mars and Jupiter in extremely close conjunction. So this might be a kind of fairly rare opportunity right there, where the Mars and Jupiter are very, very close together, and the sky is reasonably dark at 5 a.m. So here's something that you could look forward to if it's a good weather. And at this time of year, we often have good weather. Finally, on August the 29th at 5:35 a.m., we get quite an alignment of planets. Over here, we'll have Mercury, be a bit of a challenge to spot, but it's almost 5 degrees above the horizon. I will have, of course, the moon, and then Mars and Jupiter. And then way over here, we have Saturn. So that's kind of a nice alignment of planets, 4 planets. There's also some Mercury and Uranus are up there as well, but that's quite a bit more challenging to find, as well as the moon. And notice that August the 29th is during our star party, our first ever star party on the Sunshine Coast. So that'll be something to look forward to if you want to get up early. So what's the moral of the story? Well, for this summer, the real moral is come on out to our daytime events. Summer is the time when the sun is above the horizon. And the sun is in a very active year right now. Of course, the aurora that we all saw a month ago is an indication of just how active the sun is right now. So come on out to our daytime events. We have solar scopes, specialized scopes, so that you can see the prominences on the sun as well as the sunspots. So a great opportunity to have a look at the sun. And here are the major events that we're going to have on Canada Day. We'll be at Hackett Park. That's, of course, on July the 1st. And then the Half Moon Bay Fair will be at Cooper's Green. That's July the 16th. The Pender Harbor Wooden Boats will be August the 4th and the 6th. The Harvest Festival will be at the Botanical Gardens. That's just in Seashelt up Mason Road, September the 1st. And then, of course, there's our first star party, which is a 4-day event from August the 28th to the 31st, and you won't want to miss that. So I hope you have a great summer, and we'll see you in the fall.